The Amazing Digital Circus has officially ended, and I like the show. The story, characters, visual style, everything is very cool. And let me focus on the latest thing. This series has an interesting style which looks like a general 3D animation, but feels more like a video game cutscene. And this is actually intentional. If you didn't know, every glitch show is rendered on Unreal Engine, which is literally a game engine, and of course it's not that realistic as traditional rendering methods. So that's why the show looks so soft. And as a 3D artist, I'd like to recreate it. Actually, I have already made some TDC renders in Blender, and I usually make it more cinematic and less similar to the original show. But also I was interested in learning Unreal, so I combined all ideas and decided to recreate a shot from the original show in the exact same style, using Unreal Engine as a challenge. So hello everyone, in this video I'd like to show you my recreation process. So first of all, what shot did I recreate? I wanted to choose something recognizable, not very difficult and not too simple, so I chose this shot from episode 6. It has two characters in the center and the circus hall in the background. I took a screenshot of it and saved it as a reference. Then I needed all 3D models, and fortunately I didn't have to model everything myself, because there are already lots of models made by fans. I chose Pomnis and Jax models made by Malik Radvan, because first of all they are very accurate to the ones in the original show, and secondly they are the easiest to export into Unreal Engine, which I figured out through some experiments. For the environment I chose the map made by Blue Ambience. And now it's time to open Blender and start making the scene. I imported the map and characters and sent the screenshot as a camera reference. To perfectly match the camera, I used an app called F-Spy, where I placed reference dots, and with some magic I got almost the same camera position and size, which I manually moved a little bit. Then I started posing characters. Mostly I was just trying to make their poses as similar as possible, literally just tracing the reference, but even though Malik's models are very accurate, they're still not 100% perfect, so I tried to polish them. And to be honest, I spent most of the time posing characters rather than everything else. Lol. Once the poses were finished, I was pleased with the result, as you can see on my footages. Not perfect, but I thought that's enough, and then I started getting everything ready to be exported into Unreal Engine. First I started with the environment, and let me point something out of here. At that time I didn't know how to export vertex colors, which is how the map is colored. So I came up with a hacky solution where I just split every color into a separate material. It worked out well, but only after finishing the whole project I found a better and more accurate way. Then I started preparing characters, and this is the part people asked me about a lot. I applied all modifiers on every character's mesh, basically baking their pose. So that means they are not rigged anymore and just a static mesh. Since I was making a static render, this worked the best. Then I had to deal with the character's materials, like Pomnis face or Jax teeth. They are procedural, meaning that they work only in Blender, so I had to bake them into image textures, which can work everywhere. And that's it. My final step in Blender was export everything as FBX file, and now it's time to open Unreal Engine. I created a new project and imported the environment with characters. At this point this already looks sick, but it's not finished. As you can see, the characters look flat and lack of some details, so I had to make them new materials to set proper colors and textures. There was nothing very special. Unreal's material system is very similar to Blender's one, so I managed to make them very quickly. And now the characters look exactly how I want. And now here comes the thing that I was waiting for the most: lighting. Because I am, no way, a lighting artist. Tools are very similar to Blender ones, and they even have some interesting features, like the ability to mask light to only a specific area or control indirect lighting separately. For example, if I change this parameter, it looks more ray traced. With characters there is an interesting thing. Usually in animation, and especially Digital Circus, they're lit separately. Here as you can see, the environment lighting isn't affecting characters, like they're isolated. And this way I can light everyone individually with more control. You can clearly notice this in the original show. Look how Pomni has a blue rim light which affects only her and nothing else. In Unreal this is called lighting channels, and in animation it's used a lot to light only specific object. This way I lit Pomni and Jax, and now the shot is almost done. I imported the camera, tweaked render settings, and rendered everything. Then in Photoshop I made some color grading with final adjustments, and... Ladies and gentlemen, here is the final render! I think I managed to get really close. Here is the comparison with the original shot. Of course it's impossible to get 100% close, mostly just because I don't have the original models, and I don't know how lighting artists usually light shots at glitch. But I'm very pleased with the result. Fun fact, when I showed this render, there were people who didn't believe me or couldn't see any difference, which I find very cool for my first render in Unreal. Glitch, hire me please. And by the way, I'm very impressed with Unreal, because I can see almost the final image in real time, like a video game, without waiting for a few seconds or even minutes like path facing. This whole experience honestly changed how I think about lighting workflows, and it made me want to push it further. So I actually did a new recreation, which is more complex and cool. So if you want to see the second part about it, hit like and leave a comment. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.